Thanks for taking my call. My case took place in 1990. I'm 73 years old now, but I was a police officer at the time, and I was separated from her and my wife for about a year.
Right, we're going to take our first call. Let's talk to Gregory from somewhere in Southern California. Gregory, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Okay. Thanks for taking my call. My case took place in 1990. I'm 73 years old now, but I was a police officer at the time, and I was separated from her and my wife for about a year when I was served with a restraining order at work that indicated, I didn't pay attention to it at first, but I read it in detail later that day, and I was being accused of raping my daughter. She was 15 at the time, from the time she was 4 through to now, and cutting her, raping her at knife point and cutting her to facilitate the rapes. And I thought, well, gee, all I got to do is ask her, and this is all be like, what kind of restraining order is this? All we have to do is ask her. And come to find out, the accusation was coming from her. And later on, she recanted the whole thing, but it took about 7 years. I was unable to even confront her with it. She was immediately taken to someplace I didn't know. I had no ability for contact at all. And I immediately sued for dissolution of marriage. I thought that would be a format to bring this false accusation, and the judge there told me this is the wrong format for that. When I said, what's the right format? You guys keep on bringing it up. He said, well, the right format would be criminal court. At one point, the two deputy sheriff detectives somehow got a hold of it and interviewed her. They decided, my daughter, and decided that she was not being truthful, and refused to file anything on it. But like I said, 7 years later, I got a call from my daughter saying, "I'm sorry, Dad," like that. She was living in New York, but. Meanwhile, this has been, of course, filed with the Department of Justice as an accusation. And when I call to see what I can do about that, they say you can't do it. It's just a record of an accusation. And so I have this continued thing on file for me in my name as an accusation of child abuse that there doesn't appear to be anything I can do about it. Even though my daughter's 47 years old now. This is when she was 15. So, and she would be willing to testify, and and I'm not clear if I have any recourse or to get this off, this false accusation with the Department of Justice. It came up several years back. My new wife, and I adopted three siblings, and they had to interview my daughter in order to get this, in order for us to become foster parents and then adopted parents. But this accusation, it just seems a real injustice that there's nothing I can do to get rid of this.
There is something that you can do.
Okay, that's interesting. You got my attention.
It's not easy, but there's something you can do.
I'm not about easy. I'm not about getting this. And I called various places. Like there was a place called organization called Vocal back then, Victims of Child Abuse Legislation, who told me leave it where it is because you stir up the cow pile here, and this can be turned around. They're just going to say she's lying now, and refile the whole thing. So they kind of scared me into doing anything back then.
Well, I mean, that's possible, right?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So if you want yourself removed from the DOJ, what you have to do is bring a lawsuit, all right? And you have to spell out the facts. One of the things you might want to argue is that you were never notified properly of your right to a hearing and to challenge you being put on the DOJ. I know, a few decades ago, the social workers were never following the constitutional procedure for notice, and a lot of people got themselves removed from the DOJ list for child abuse index just based upon the notice alone. So what I would do if I were you, I would contact an attorney and weigh out the work and the cost and see if it's going to be worthwhile for you.
Right. Okay.
Vince, that's the first time I've ever heard somebody talk about that. That is really amazing information. Thank
you. Yeah, what got me is during this whole thing, I was so adamant about you're ruining my daughter by believing her. It's like everybody's believing this big lie, which is more of a violation to her than anything else. She's dealing with big people here, and she's fooling, she's hoodwinking you people, and that's going to ruin her. Like everyone believes it because why would she be lying? That kind of thing. And everybody looked at me like I was a deviant. And when I was coming out of dissolution of marriage court, it was terrible. Right. It was so overwhelming. It really overwhelmed me.
I know from experience exactly how you feel right now. I have 3 children. My oldest is 7, and I'm dealing with a very bad custody case with my ex, and he has coached my children into saying that I sexually assaulted all 3 of them.
And immediately, everyone believes it. Immediately, everybody believes
all contact with my
kids. Hey, Greg, there's one other thing that I want you to talk about with your attorney, and something called a writ of coram nobis, CORAMNOBIS. All right, and it's basically
spell that one more time.
Writ, WRIT, of coram, CORAM, nobis, NOBIS.
NOBIS.
NOB, B as in boy, IS.
BIS. I got you.
Okay. So what it basically is a writ that you can file with a court that can correct any injustice in the past.
Right.
Okay. So, typically, the last time I saw an appellate case, I think this is what happened. A guy was deemed to be the father of a child, and then 35 years later, it came out that he wasn't the father of the child, and he, sued based upon a writ of coram nobis to get that finding of paternity changed around. So, it was like 35 years later, which is, similar to your situation, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Hey, Greg, I want to thank you for calling and thank you for listening. Call us back in a few months and give us an update on what's going on with that case, okay?
Sure will. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
All right. I guess it's about time for another break.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win.